You're listening to Magic and Logic, a show about building things that matter and becoming someone worth following along the way. I'm Josh Stewart, founder of Hook, and someone who's still learning how to lead with both creativity and conviction. This podcast exists for anyone out there who is eager to build but unsure where to begin. Each guest brings a story with a unique perspective, not just advice, but proof it's possible. Today you'll hear from Bre Stewart, my wife, the mother of our children, and the person who's walked beside me through every season of building.
The one thing that I saw in you that was so different that I just knew, like, no matter what, he's not going to fail. Like, there's nothing in him. When you kept doing all the Hook work on the side and talked about doing it on your own, I remember just thinking, like, do it. What do you have to lose? Before you even really realized what you were chasing, I think the whole time it's just been legacy. Even in the hard seasons, we tried to keep the right perspective to always see the beauty in all of it too.
Most episodes of this show focus on founders and entrepreneurs, but behind every builder is someone helping carry the weight. For nearly 2 decades, Bre has both kept me grounded and helped build something far more important than any business: a family, a home, and a foundation strong enough to support everything else. This one's about partnership, resilience, and the things that matter most when the workday ends. Let's get into it. Bre, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun. Did you ever think you'd be on a podcast with your husband?
No, and I kind of feel like I was maybe the plan B, and I should not be here. I'm very unqualified, but...
No chance. I've had these guys can attest to it too. Multiple people have asked me, when are you going to have your wife on? So there's some anticipation behind this one.
I don't know.
But by design, I think this episode is going to be a little bit different. Most of the people that sit in that chair are founders and CEOs and entrepreneurs that have built something in the business world specifically. And I don't think you would consider yourself a business builder. But
100% no.
But the truth is that every business I've built has your fingerprints all over it. I mean that. Mm-hmm. You've been through every season: the startups, the risks, late nights, hard conversations, the wins and the setbacks. And that's why I wanted you here. I think a lot of people know more of my story, but they don't know enough about yours. And so that's what I want to get into. But before we talk about all of that stuff, I want to just pass the mic to you and let you introduce yourself.
Oh, man. I don't know where to start. I'm Bre Stewart, and I'm married to Josh for almost 20 years.
20 years in December.
Yep, 20 years in December. We have 4 really awesome kiddos. We homeschool, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say about myself.
That's a good summary. When you were younger, what did you imagine your life would look like?
When I was younger, all I really wanted to be was a mom. Like, I remember I always looked forward to the season of being married and being a mom, and whatever else came with that was just going to be bonus. So,
what do you love about being a mom?
Gosh, I love all the things, the hard things, the fun parts. I love watching just these individual humans just refine me in so many ways, but I also love just watching their own unique little selves learn and grow and discover, and I love getting to do life with them.
Yeah, I agree. We were talking about this. I think we were talking about this not too long ago, but it's also just so interesting to me how they all grow up in the same house. They have the same parents, and they couldn't be more different in some ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's part of what makes it so fun, is it's absolutely a challenge, but it's the most rewarding challenge, I would say, ever.
Yeah.
So, if someone had shown 15-year-old Bre a picture of her life today, what would have surprised you the most?
Gosh. That's a hard question. I think all of it would have surprised me. I think
Yeah.
like as a young girl, you kind of have these hopes and dreams of what your life might look like. But then to see like the faithfulness and goodness of the Lord bring you to a place that you had only like dreamed of, like that, all of it would have surprised me. Because I think you can hope and you can dream and pray that it would all work out, but there are so many twists and turns. So I'm just thankful.
When you were 15, did you think you were going to marry me?
Well, okay, let me see. 15, so that would have been what, freshman or sophomore year?
And can I make a quick comment? Bre was the first girl I ever had a crush on in 3rd grade.
I don't know why, but it like
It's true.
kills me every time you say that.
That's true.
Every time you tell somebody that, I'm like,
It's
why?
true. So I bet it's worth mentioning that we've known each other our whole lives.
Yeah.
We were. She chased me around the
third
around the
grade
playground at recess. When
I
we were in
broke my
elementary
ankle
school,
in 3rd grade on his foot
playing basketball.
playing basketball. Yeah.
And then we were boyfriend girlfriend in high school for a little bit.
For a very short bit.
We won't. And then we got engaged our freshman year of college.
Yeah. So did I think I
At
was
15.
going to marry you at 15? No. Because there were definitely seasons where I thought you were annoying. In the sense of like, you were Mr. Cool and I was annoyed by Mr. Cool. And there were seasons where I had big crushes on you and I would have thought like, oh, I want to marry Josh Stewart someday. But then there were seasons where I was like, absolutely not.
He's a knucklehead.
He is not my type.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we stepped into what I would just use the blanket term entrepreneurship, what did you think entrepreneurship was?
Honestly, I don't know that I ever really wrapped my head around it and what that even meant. I feel like it was more of a newer term whenever we were younger and coming into it, because when we were in college, it felt like it was like you go to college for a career. And so entrepreneurship kind of was like this new gray area. Maybe I'm wrong, but like that's just kind of how it felt to me. So I just didn't really think about it very much.
Yeah. But maybe worth mentioning, your mom started a coffee shop when you were little.
Yeah.
And so you got,
true.
whether you realized it at the time or not, like you got a little flavor of that growing up too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. My mom was always trying to like
Yeah.
come up with ideas and businesses, and
Yeah.
she probably, you two were always had a lot in common.
Yes.
So I think she always kind of had a little bit of an entrepreneur flair in her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to touch on that is just near and dear to my heart, when we, so for context for the audience, we got married young, 20 and 21, and Jude was born, I think when I was 24, 25.
I was 23. You were 24.
23 and 24. Yeah. And it took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I think the best way to describe me is I'm just a builder, kind of a serial entrepreneur. And so I've always felt like if I set my mind to something, I could figure it out. And so that manifested itself in a lot of different ways. I had a short-lived music career. I started a wedding cinematography company. I just had all these ideas. But Hook was kind of the thing that stuck, and the thing that I just went all in on and became obsessive with. But in the early days, I was basically a freelancer. And so I had a full-time job. My last full-time job, I was working at a church as the creative director and building Hook on the side. And there was a season where I think I was making $35,000 a year full time. That was my full time role. We had Jude at the time, and I think Lila at the time. We had 2 kids, living in a tiny little 700 square foot home in Republic,
I feel like it
Missouri.
gets smaller every time you tell the
How
story.
many square feet was it? Tell. I know.
Oh, I know. Sorry,
Bre
this
is Mrs. Specific. She's gonna get the numbers right. How many
is
square
hard.
feet was it?
I think it was closer to 900. I know, 200 square feet, big deal. But I feel like it just inches
That's
smaller
fair.
and
It was
smaller.
200
and
square
makes
feet.
me laugh.
It was a tiny little home.
It was small and sweet and perfect for
It was.
the season.
And it was a sweet season. Like, it's something that I'm super thankful for, that we weren't just born, with a bank account. Like, we had to
nobody
go
gave
through
us anything.
Yeah, we had to go through the hard stuff. And not to dwell on that too much, but I'm thankful that we had those hard seasons. Like, there were times when we went to Walmart and we had to put things back on the shelf because we couldn't afford it. And so I think that necessity is the mother of all invention. And I'm just personally so thankful for that season because we started with very little and we did the hard things. We leaned into the difficult seasons. And I never had this fear of failure. Like I just always knew that I would do whatever it took to build something and provide for my family.
I think too, like, not to toot my own horn, but there were definitely seasons like in those early years where I felt like I kind of had to push you a little bit.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
like when you were still going to college and we were about to have Jude, and I just
quit your job. Let's tell that story.
I very stubbornly but I think truly I had prayed about it and had been praying about it, and I just strongly felt that the Lord wanted me to stay home with Jude and raise our kids, and I didn't care what that looked like, but I just knew like if that's what he had for us, that it would work out. Yeah. And so I did. Like a month before we had Jude, I remember just crying and telling you how much like I just knew that was what we were supposed to do, and you were, I think, just tired of me crying about it, and you just go, okay, go tell your boss that you quit. Yeah. And so and then I had that hard conversation because I loved where I worked and the people that I worked for, but I just knew that was what was going to be best for us. But it worked out. I mean, the Lord provided, absolutely. Yeah.
And no, and too, like reflecting on that, because I haven't thought about that in a while, but now I definitely remember that. I remember being nervous and scared, but also just like, hey, it's time to put my big boy pants on and figure this thing out. And,
do you remember when you got your full-time job?
I do.
4 days before Jude.
4 days before Jude was born. Yeah, I got, and I think my first salary I ever had was $25,000 a year. Yeah. And the math didn't really math.
No, it never mathed.
Yeah, but we figured it out. Yeah. And that's where, like, honestly, a lot of this started because, I had that salary and a full-time job, but I was just young and hungry and taking on any work I could take on. I was working at a tool rental shop on the weekends while I was working a full-time job. I was, making logos and building websites in the evenings. And
we had one car, and Jude and I would just take 2 walks a day to the park through the schools. Yeah.
But it's funny now, come full circle, because, we're very blessed, and I don't ever want to take that for granted. But I think something I'm proud of us for is I feel like we've done a pretty good job of not letting complacency set in. Yeah. I think we're very content, which is admirable, and I think we should be content. Sure. But I think we've always just, aspired to be the best version of ourselves. And so I think that's a lot of what's led us to the beautiful life that we have today.
For sure. And I think it's hard and great sometimes that we're both firstborns, because we both kind of strive for, we have high standards, high expectations. So I think that helps us in a sense. We're opposite enough to complement each other, but that firstborn mentality kind of gives us, like, we can push each other.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Where I was originally going with that is, there was a season during all of this where, I got my second job was as the creative director at a church. My salary went up a little bit, not much. But that's when I really started buckling down on Hook and building it nights and weekends and got bigger clients. And there was a season, I had probably been in this role for 2.5 years. And my income on the Hook side was exponentially larger than my income at my full-time salaried position. And I remember, you talked me into quitting my job and going all in on Hook. And so that's just the part that I wanted to, maybe talk about a little bit, is I had this, there was some concern on my end. I remember very specifically thinking, well, with a full-time role, we had benefits, we had insurance and some things, and it was like, for whatever reason, that was the thing that I felt like I had to hang on to the full-time job because of that. And in retrospect, it's so silly, but you were the one, like, I feel like you talked me into going all in on myself. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you, and I think the thing that I want to communicate to whoever's watching this is, it's so important to have someone in your corner that believes in you. Mm-hmm. We've seen that theme pop up, with multiple guests in the past, whether it was Cooper Mitchell or Peter Stopko or Thad Forrester on down the line. most of these individuals have somebody in their corner that believes in them, maybe when they didn't believe in themselves. And so I don't know that I'm asking a question. I think I'm just saying thanks for believing in me.
Of course.
Why did you believe in me?
I think there's I don't know. I think too, when I look back and as a girl looking at prospective men to marry, like the one thing that I saw in you that was so different, that I just knew, like, no matter what, he's not going to fail. Like there's nothing in him that would fail with anything. So I think that's why I knew, like, if I stay home with our kids, he's gonna
We'll figure it out.
figure it out. I don't know how selfish that is on my part,
No, yeah.
but it was just like I just had full trust, and I just knew that you would take care of us.
Yeah.
I just knew you'd do what it took to figure it out and take care of us. So again, like when you kept doing all the hook work on the side and talked about doing it on your own, I remember just thinking, like, do it. What do you have to lose? Like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, big deal. Well, you'll get a different job. You'll figure something out, but you're not going to fail no matter what you do. And you just are stubborn enough and strong-willed enough that, like, I knew you would figure it out, and it was something that you're passionate about doing. So,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
I think most people focus on the business after it's successful, but they rarely see all of the struggles that go into, the early stages of actually building. What were some of the hardest seasons that you remember?
Gosh, it's tricky because I think even in the hard seasons, we tried to keep the right perspective to always see the beauty in all of it too.
Yeah.
Like I think about even when we only had one car and we were limited on groceries, and like I can so vividly go there and just remember like the laughter and the running around a little circle in our house, and how just like going to the park, and just how simple and beautiful it was. But then, I mean, there are seasons, and in every season, just even you working till 2, 3 a.m. most nights in the morning, just trying to get things done and figure things out, and earn business. Like, you were so exhausted, but I felt like we were young enough then to be able to, like...
We had the energy back then.
we could run with it and just keep going. There were so many... I don't know. I feel like we always just were able to lean on each other and be each other's help enough that it kept us going through all the hard.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I would say is I think we are both just naturally optimistic people. I think everybody has, biases and blind spots. But I think the quote goes, pessimists are usually right, optimists are usually healthy and wealthy. And whether or not that's an absolute or that's completely true, I don't know. But I think that what you seek, you will find. And I think we were always focused on the good.
Yeah.
Regardless of that season. There's always, one of our family's core values is gratitude. Mm-hmm. And I think the best way to define that is, if you think you have nothing to be thankful for, be thankful for the breath in your lungs. There's always something to be thankful for. And I think what we focus on determines who we become. Yep. So, what are some of the sacrifices that people rarely see, like specific to building a business? Is there any? And where's your mind go when I say that? Ask that question.
I think time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the amount of time, and it's not just like the physical time that you're putting in, but it's your headspace time too. Yeah. Because there, have definitely been seasons where you're building and you're working on things so much that like you're there, but sometimes mentally you just have so many wheels that you're turning and balls you're trying to keep up in the air. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think I would say that there's different types of presence. I think I was always pretty good about being present physically, like coaching the teams, making it to the games, but the lesson that I'm still, to be vulnerable, still wrestling with. I think I've gotten a lot better, but it's actually being present in the moment regardless of, your physical presence. That's the thing that I struggle with, and always will, probably to some degree. I think that's just kind of one of the caveats of being a founder and a business owner is your presence, being in the moment, is just hard. But would you say I've gotten better about that?
Yeah, you've gotten better. And I think
you can be honest.
I think too, we just learned how to, like, anything that presented as a challenge, we were like, okay, how do we navigate this together? And I think one of our cheat codes became going on vacation to Disney.
Yeah.
Where I have to do it in quotes because Josh likes to call Disney Universal. Any Orlando theme park is a Disney park. But that became one of our cheat codes because it was something that we could do together, have fun together, and you could be present because it's such a go type place that you can't consuming.
Yeah, no,
those
totally
vacations.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think if I'm on the beach just with nothing to do, then
you're gone within an hour. Lila and I are both like, anytime we go to the beach, an hour is your max. And her and I want to just like stay out there forever. But you're like, okay, I'm going to
go check my email real quick.
Yeah. So even though beaches seem like they would be a relaxing place, it's hard for you.
Yeah, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
What has entrepreneurship given our family that you wouldn't trade?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expand upon that.
I love as much time as it takes. I love that it also gives us time. Like, it gives us the flexibility and the time, and it gives us our kids more avenues of being able to see work through a different lens.
Yeah.
What that looks like, that it can be enjoyable and fun. And I think mostly I love the flexibility, especially being a homeschool family.
Agree with that completely. I feel like we kind of look at the world very differently compared to most families because, just like you said, the flexibility that comes along with it as business owners, as a homeschool family. We don't go on vacation on spring break. We go to Disney World in February or September, non-peak times. And then we can also do what we do from anywhere. We've been to Hawaii a couple times. One of those, or both of the trips, honestly, was kind of a hybrid of definitely vacation. We definitely relaxed and had fun. But if I need to hop on a call, if we need to get a homeschool lesson in, need to visit a museum, like, it's just kind of a different way to approach life. I
don't think it's ever like we need to visit a museum, but it also is like, hey, we get to do this because we love learning together, and that just feeds into entrepreneurship. Also, like homeschooling, I feel like feeds into entrepreneurship because it's like just a love of learning and continuing to what are the words I'm looking for? Yeah,
100%. And I think too, maybe to talk about our kids a little bit more. Like, couldn't be more proud of all of them, and they're in different seasons. Our oldest, Jude, we've got one boy and 3 girls. Jude is 16, Lila Blue is 14, Gwen is 11. Keep me honest here, and Ruby's 4. And it's just fun to, I like to use the word stewardship, just making sure that as parents, we are helping guide them through life and become the best version of themselves. Yeah. And I think on the entrepreneur side, I see it so much in Jude, and I'm starting to see it in Lila. Jude right now, and I'm not saying this to brag, but Jude has more money saved up at 16 than I did at probably 26.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, he does.
Yeah.
And that is because I feel like we've helped guide that. He is working. He's doing freelance. He actually has an internship up here at Hook. And these guys will tell you, like, the first thing I told them was, they brought up the idea of bringing Jude on because they started to see kind of his capabilities as a young, freelancer, some of the work that he's done. There's no handouts though. Yeah. These guys know, like, we're not, he doesn't have that role because he's Josh's son. Yeah. He has that role because he's got a strong work ethic and has a high ceiling. And he's held to the highest standard, as a result of that. But what I see in him right now is just exciting because he's just grown up in that setting. And so I think he just approaches, I don't know what the right term is, his vocation, his the work side of life as, more of, there's just more opportunities in front of him because of the setting that he grew up in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, whenever we considered even homeschooling, we knew 100% that it was the right fit for Jude.
Yeah.
And he does. He has, he's got the drive. He's got the figure it out mentality.
Yeah.
So whether it's fixing a part on his car or the mower or figuring out what curriculum he wants to do next, he's just got the drive and the figure it out mentality, and he takes initiative.
I can't remember the last time that Jude got to a sticking point and he just didn't know what to do.
Oh, no.
And I think that's something that more kids need that. I think it's so easy to get to a point you're like, I don't know how to do it. Mom and dad will fix it.
Right.
And I think we've been very intentional about cultivating that. And it doesn't always come easy, but especially when he was younger, I just remember trying to be intentional. Sometimes it's the easy thing to do is to fix the problem for the kid.
Yeah.
That is most of the time, depending on the season of life, that's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to sit with them and to challenge them and to lovingly guide the situation instead of just stepping in and fixing it.
Yeah.
And I think I would use the term coddling. I think, it makes sense because we want to help our kids. But I think if we're playing the long game, which I believe we should be, then just stepping in and fixing the problem isn't actually helping your kids. I think it's enabling your kids to some degree.
But I feel like it's easier said with some kids than it is with others. Even
absolutely.
With Jude, I feel like all those things are easy, but with our 11-year-old, it's a different personality, a different game. And so will she step into those roles? Hope that's our hope and our prayer. But
she absolutely will. But I think it's two things. I think they are all just different because they're different human beings. Right. But then I also think it's the seasons too. So when you're 11, you're a very different human being than you are at 16.
Right.
And I can even look back, if we think about Jude when he was 11, I had my concerns.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they all, they're all obviously going to struggle with different things. But I think that's one of the things that I love about how we've designed our life is we're not leaning on somebody that we don't know very well to guide that. We're hands-on with them and walking through those seasons. Nobody's going to care about these kids more than we do.
Right.
And I'm definitely I would say an advocate for homeschool. That doesn't mean I'm anti-public school.
Right.
I think public schools can be great. We're both the product of public schools.
Yeah. And
I don't, not everybody can homeschool, but maybe just blanket statement, if homeschooling is on your heart, I think you should consider it.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan on going off on this tangent, but I think it's worth talking about. Do you remember when you brought homeschool up to me when Jude was
Sure do. 3?
Talk to us about that. Tell me about that.
I think it was something that was always placed on my heart. I remember wanting to be homeschooled so bad when I was in school, and it wasn't a very common or popular thing, especially in Southwest Missouri, growing up. But for some reason, it just stayed with me, and so the more I got to learn about it, the more I knew that was the direction that I wanted to go with our kids. Yeah. And then you had, when I brought it up to you were very adamantly against it. And
probably worth mentioning, I didn't know anything about homeschool. Just again, being vulnerable and candid, homeschool kids were weird kids. Yeah. Whenever I was growing up, the homeschool kids were the ones that were just kind of awkward and all the stereotypes. And so when you brought it up to me, I just remember immediately shutting it down. Mm-hmm. Nope, not doing that. That's weird.
Then I did what any normal wife would do, and I took you to a homeschool convention.
Which I remember.
Which seems so funny. And it's not, they still do those in bigger cities here and there. But
I had an aha moment.
For sure.
And I definitely remember there was a guy that was talking on a stage, and he specifically addressed the homeschool stereotype.
Yeah.
And he said, almost verbatim, here's the deal. He goes, if you're weird and you homeschool your kids will be weird.
Yeah.
If you're not weird and you homeschool your kids, good chance they turn out not weird. And it was just I know that sounds so silly, but it was just this light bulb moment in my brain that was but it's that makes sense.
Yeah, there are weird kids in public schools. There are weird kids in private school. It just, yeah, those old stereotypes, I think, have kind of gotten flipped on their
Big
back
time.
a little bit.
Yeah, and I would say I don't know the statistics, but I've seen them before. But the amount of homeschool kids in like the 80s versus 90s versus 2000s, like homeschool is definitely on the up and up right now, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
How has motherhood shaped you?
Oh boy, that's a big question. I feel like motherhood has shaped me by these little mirror images of all my flaws and hopefully some of the good things. I feel like it just is, it just brings to light just, I don't know, all the things that are
I said this
inside and on the surface.
Yeah, I said this on the last episode, and again, I don't know that I necessarily believe it's an absolute statement, but a reflection of the father is his son. A reflection of the mother is her daughter, and and vice versa. And so I think that's one of the most difficult and rewarding parts of being a parent is that we are responsible for stewarding these children.
Yeah.
And more is caught than taught. And so I think we can say whatever we want to say with our words, but the kids are watching too.
Yeah.
And so, something that comes to mind for me, it's happened multiple times, but it happened this week, and it was just made my heart happy. But Ruby came downstairs and she wanted to work out with her dad.
Yeah.
Got on the pull-up bar, swinging around and
Not really working out
not
much.
working out at all. But, she doesn't do that because I told her to work out. She did that because she sees her dad work out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a reflection, and our kids are going to naturally gravitate towards the things that we do. And so that's a heavy burden to carry sometimes, but it's one worth carrying for sure.
Yeah. I think it's such a tricky thing too, because it's like, you're parenting these individual kids who are all they are unique. They have unique skill sets.
Yeah.
They're their own little persons. So it's not like you have this desire for them to be, you have to watch your expectations of what you want them to become, but shepherd what actually the Lord has put inside of them.
So good.
And so then there are times I can remember this moment, maybe a year or two ago, when we'll just randomly ask our kids, like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Not that it's like a set in stone thing, right? But just to like kind of get them forward thinking a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there was a time that I can't remember if we asked Lila or if somebody else asked her. And she said, I want to be a mom. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I remember my heart being like, oh, I could remember saying that, but it wasn't really it was kind of looked down upon growing up. So I was very cautious about saying it. Didn't feel like I could like freely say that. And to hear her say that, and it's sweet. So it's like, even though she's this really fun, great basketball player right now, and we're like, well, do you want to play in college? And she's like, yeah, I really want to be a mom too. And we're like, well, that's great, but you won't be a mom, hopefully not right out the gate, but so yeah, as much as we have these, like, that makes my heart happy. But if she wanted to be like a super awesome businesswoman in the workforce or a nurse or a doctor, we would 100% support that
and come
as
alongside and help her
Absolutely.
step into that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know what Ruby said she wanted to be when do you remember this?
I do.
Ruby, our 4-year-old right now, wants to be Mrs. Claus.
Yeah. First it was Santa Claus. And then she decided Mrs. Claus.
Which I think, the more I sat with that, the more I think it's like, and she said that Santa Claus is really nice and he has all the presents. And it's like, that logics. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do with her.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think, I say this a lot, what you build matters, who you become matters most. And so the other lesson that I've learned in raising kids is what I want them to become is not necessarily what they should become.
Right.
And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. I walked through that when Jude decided to stop playing sports.
Yeah.
I was an athlete. Basketball was everything to me. It consumed me up until, I played in college, and then, it ended after that. But in my mind, in my tiny little brain, I just thought my son was supposed to be an athlete too. Mm-hmm. And then he approached both of us with a whole lot of intentionality and logic, and sat us down and just explained that, he doesn't love baseball. And I just remember, kind of him systematically breaking this down of like, Mom and Dad, I'm spending, I can't remember, 10, 15 hours a week between private lessons and practice and tournaments and games. And he was like, here's how I would prefer to spend that time. Right. And it was all fruitful, beautiful things. It was learning design software. It was learning how to operate a camera. It was working out. And then he bookended it with, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to finish this season strong, but it's just not what I want to do anymore.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, the teacher has become the student. He taught me a lesson there.
For sure.
At the ripe age of, I think he was probably 14.
I think that's parenting at its core.
Agree. Agree. Yeah. But then, that really flipped the script for me. It changed my heart posture for sure. And something I tell Lila all the time, our 14-year-old is, I know I'm biased dad, but she's a phenomenal athlete, really good basketball player. And, plays on a competitive team. Basketball is a big part of her life. I said it to her this week. I try to say it to her with some regularity. And I just say, hey, Lila, I love that you play basketball. I always try to lead, from being complimentary. But I just remind her that the goal isn't for Lila Blue to be the world's greatest basketball player. The goal is for Lila Blue to be a young woman who loves Jesus, who has integrity, who has character, all of those things. And I think that's the shift in my mind is basketball, like anything else, can be a tool. And if it's a tool that makes you better and helps cultivate and turn you into the person that you're supposed to become, then I'm all for it. Right. But I think not to get off on too much of a tangent with youth sports. I could if we wanted to. But youth sports are, it's a gift and a curse. I think there's too many parents out there that are living vicariously through their kids. And I miss the days when kids could just play basketball and have fun. Yeah. Like so much anymore. It's like we got ego-driven parents and coaches, and it's just become such a weird thing. That was a little bit of a tangent, but I think what I'm trying to say is like parenting it's a burden. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think we just need to be really intentional with who our kids are becoming through the things that they're doing. So, yeah. Anything you'd add to that?
Gosh, I am always trying to see both sides of the coin because just side note, like when you talk about youth sports and what it's become, there are a lot of like icky things, but also I think about too, like we always kind of flip that script of like, hey, we are traveling all these weekends, but also how fun is it that as a family, because of what you do and the lifestyle that we have, like we get to go to these different cities and experience these different things together and make these memories together. And so it's like, I think just also trying to take those things and make them fruitful and worthwhile. And parenting, like the burden that sits on parenting, also it's just a big responsibility of staying intentional and mindful of how you work all those avenues. Yeah,
couldn't agree more. When our kids are grown, what do you hope they remember the most?
This was a big question for me because they're like the obvious things and the not obvious things. Like my heart wants them to remember like all the time that went into like the Christmas memories of baking or doing like little giving days where we would just bake goodies and give them to neighbors, and just like the Christmas memories and the game nights and the I don't know, the holidays, making memories with family, all those kind of tangible things. But I truly hope that the question is, what do I want them to remember most?
Remember the most, yeah.
I think I want them to remember how we made them feel in each season of life. Yeah. Like as they grew. Like I want them to remember and feel that they were loved and supported and cherished and forgiven and given grace and mercy. And I hope that they felt a lot of joy. All those things that I think are just attributes of what I feel like the Lord wants us as parents to portray to our kids that reflect Him.
Yeah, I love that. I think at the end of the day, like the thing I'm reminded of is I'm proud of them, when they do things, when they win a game or they whatever, build a thing. But I'm just at the core of everything, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them because they're my kids.
Yeah.
Full stop. That's it.
And I think that's like, to me, that's the heart of the Lord too. There's nothing that we could say or do that is going to keep him from loving us. And I think that's such a cool thing that's just instilled in us, because no matter what, it's like with Jude, he's going to quit playing baseball. Yeah. And that was fun for us. He quit playing hockey, and we loved going playing hockey and traveling together. But that, because he wants to stop doing that, doesn't discount how much we love him or how highly we think of him.
It's unconditional
love.
love.
All the kids, for sure.
Yeah. Love based on no conditions at all. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. And I think you know this, but I put out a Instagram story just asking people, like, hey, I'm having my wife on the podcast. What questions do you want me to ask her? And I got a couple of interesting ones. The first one was, and I'm a little bit nervous to say this out loud, but what's the quirkiest thing about Josh? Talk about my quirks.
There are so many. So
got 2
many
minutes,
things I
that's it.
love. So many things I love.
Yeah.
So you naturally have a lot of these OCD tendencies.
Yep. I do. High standards. I like to call them high standards.
High standards. I don't know if it falls under quirky. Maybe a little bit of pet peeves, but I don't.
Got a lot of those too.
Is that a
sure,
bucket?
Yes.
So you are very OCD about the things in your car and your spaces down in the office, about everything having a place. Kids, don't leave anything in my car. Everything is neat and clean. You need your controlled spaces. But then there are some spaces that are not so controlled, like your bathroom sink, or probably the biggest one that I still am trying to grapple with 20 years into our marriage is how you just set a spoon right next to the sink instead of in the sink.
I might come back and use the spoon.
No, you never do.
But I do sometimes.
This is maybe 1 out of 25 times.
And
maybe.
All right, okay.
So it's the spoon or the bowl. And I think that was just something that you carried with you from childhood that
Probably.
You have had a hard time letting go of. But yeah, if it could just go into the sink, that would be great.
I'll work on it.
Quirks. I don't know. You have a lot of fun ones, but that's a hard one to answer on the spot.
Yeah. To rationalize, not to excuse my behavior, but to explain my behavior. I think one of the things I learned as being a father of 4 is I do crave cleanliness. I love order. I think that's where the OCD comes from, is I want everything to have a place and a purpose. But when you raise 4 kids, just you got to throw that out the window.
Yeah.
You have to let go of that to some degree. It's never the house is never always going to be spotless. It's just the way it is. But I do have tiny little pieces of my life, like my car, and to even speak to the detail. When you get in my car, you talk about my quirks. You get in my car, my truck, you always take the visor and you put it down, and you never put it back up when you get out of my car. And that drives me crazy. It's the first thing I always do whenever you ride with my car. I just put the visor back up after you get out, just to speak to my quirks. I do have a lot of quirks, but I think it's helped me cope with all of the chaos that comes along with raising kids. Is there's certain pieces of my life, like my gym. I've got an office basement gym at my house, and you could eat off the floor in there. Everything is in order. Everything has a place and a purpose, and I can tell when somebody walked in there.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about, I'm oh, okay, you named that quirk. It's even if we get in the sauna, I can't go in before you. You have to tell me. Because
I got to be in there longer than you.
Well, and it's timed. You can't go in yet. Why would you get in there before me?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think there's
It's
so
a
many
gift and a
that
curse.
after 20 years, I've just overlooked so many of them that I don't even really think about it anymore.
Yeah. Your sister sent in this question, and I think it's a good one. What's one thing you valued from your childhood that you've carried on to our family?
That's such a hard one. I think there are so many things from childhood that I have tried to dissect in so many different ways. And I think I value a lot of them more now since my mom has passed, that I can see, like, it's easier. I feel like it's easier to see the value in those things because of her passing.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
that makes sense.
Yeah, totally does.
But I think something that I value from childhood is so like when I was 10 and they opened up Java Jolt, they were gone all the time. So both my parents were such hard workers. They worked a lot. And so it was like they would be gone, so they'd send pizza to the house for us to eat pizza. But we were also expected to have the laundry done, have certain things done and in order because mom wasn't there to help do it. So in a sense, like as a 10-year-old, having to babysit my siblings and take on these responsibilities, at the time, it felt heavy and annoying, and I didn't want to do it. But I'm also really thankful for it because it taught me how to be independent and to take on those responsibilities that I think so many kids these days don't take on. And then it leads into a lazier upbringing.
And I think, honestly, that's probably part of the reason why you wanted to be a mom.
Yeah,
because you learned how to sacrifice and be selfless and take care of people at a young age.
Yeah.
Here's another one that somebody sent in. What is something that I do better than most people realize?
Everything. You do everything better. So we can never compete because Josh will do it better.
I am competitive to a fault.
Yeah, even our arguments, he's gonna win the argument. What is something? I mean, you do better than most people. Your discipline. I feel like that's very evident, though, in all that you do. You're the most disciplined person, even to a fault, because it'll be 10:30 and he feels like he has to get in the sauna because it has to count. He's got to put the work in. But to the fault of also, I have to sometimes be like, it's okay. You can just go to sleep. You can rest. Your body probably would like that. But sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. But no, your discipline is bar none.
Yeah. Thanks. What's one thing every entrepreneur's spouse needs to hear?
That's a good one. I think to just always be there to support your husband, no matter what that looks like. If it looks like him needing a massage at the end of the night to try to stop thinking about all the things. And I think also to be there, but also it's a lifelong journey of working on your communication with each other. Because there are times that I think we've had to learn the hard way of all the things that you carry home with you, because there is no leaving it at the office, because our life is the office. So whether we're on vacation or whether we're just at home on the weekends, I think it's really important. We've learned for you to communicate some of that with me. And I know there have been times that, like, if you're carrying something heavy or whatever you're carrying and it just feels like a lot, because a lot of times all of the things that go into being an entrepreneur is a lot. I mean,
consuming.
Consuming. The front end, the back end, all of it. Employees, working with clients, like it's business and it's people. And so it's all the things, and that's a lot to carry. So I think I have appreciated us coming to this agreement of sometimes you feel like you can't tell me because there are things that I obviously can't understand to a certain extent. But I also appreciate when you do tell me, like, hey, I just have a lot going on. And then that helps us work through, like, okay, I know I need to be a lot more graceful in, like, this season. Like, what can I take off your plate? What can I help you so that you can let go of some of that headspace? And just that communication of where we need to help each other is vital.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten so much better about this as we've gotten older. But there's been days where it's like, I've got 10% and I need you to bring 90%. And then the inverse is true too. You've had a
Yeah.
long day, with the kids, whatever that could entail, which is, so much. And it's like, you got 10% and you need me to bring 90%. And so I think communication there is crucial. The other pro tip that I would offer to anybody listening is, and I don't do this perfectly, but I've learned that whenever we're communicating, you're telling me something, there's a couple of different modes that I can go into, and I need to identify if you just want me to listen and be a sounding board, or if you want me to listen to solve. Because my default
Is to solve.
If you got a problem, I can fix it. I guarantee I can fix it. But you don't always...
I was going to say, that's probably one of your other things that you do better than most people. I was thinking about that earlier today. You're just really, maybe I said that earlier, but you're just really good at solving things. So I think because you're so good at solving things, you feel like you can solve everybody's problems.
Which isn't what everybody wants.
That's not, especially women. Like, women sometimes just want to vent, to be heard.
And that's okay. There's a time and a place for that. And it's like, that's foreign to my brain. I wrestle with that because it's like, I always just go straight to, I could fix this. You never have to worry about it again. But that's not always what you need, when you're telling me something.
My paper planner doesn't want to be fixed.
But if you could commit to a Google Calendar, I'd show up on time.
I don't know that
we won't go off on that rabbit trail.
I do put things in your calendar, just not consistently.
We'll talk about your quirks on the next episode.
Yeah.
Last question for this section. What do you think I've been chasing all these years?
I would say you've been chasing legacy. Before you even really realized what you were chasing, I think the whole time it's just been legacy.
Yeah. I love that. Maybe we're saying out loud, our family has a brand and a crest and core values and a manifesto, and kind of the umbrella that all of it fits under is just a simple 4-word phrase: legacy minded and kingdom focused. And so I think, to me, legacy, I love that word, but basically what that means to me is that the decisions that I make today impact more than I realize, more than most of us realize. And so I just try to keep that front and center of, like, what I do now not only impacts me, but my wife and my kids and my kids' kids and on down the line. And so I think that's just just something I think is wise for all of us to keep top of mind. Don't just focus on the here and now, but just setting your family up for success long term, I think is really important. And what that does is, I think we're just a society of instant gratification.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in delaying that gratification, and the results are exponentially better if you can lean into that.
Yeah.
So I love that. Appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Anything else before I ask you the final question?
I don't know. I don't know if I was just thinking while you were saying all that, I feel like there can be so many misunderstandings about entrepreneurship and just the world that you've lived and built. And I think part of that is, we've talked before, like, a lot of people will see the end result, but they don't see all the pieces that have gone into it for the last 20 years,
Yeah.
But also I think, like, if you say, what do I think you've been chasing for all these years? I think you and I have also both kind of had these conversations of, like, trying to filter out that, like, well, what are people going to think mentality. But I think, so when you ask that question, I'm like, gosh, I think so many entrepreneurs are known for chasing money, right? Like, it's all about the dollar sign. And I think why I took the time to say legacy is because nobody knows your heart as well as I do.
Yeah.
And so money has not, obviously you want to provide for your family, but money is such a far stretch from, like, all the times that you give every single homeless person $100 bills, like these amounts that I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. So we just have these conversations of, like, they have no idea your heart behind, like, the people that you are helping and the things that you are doing on the back end, the things that people don't see, which is why it feeds into your legacy and not chasing something that's of something that's going to vanish.
Yeah, agree.
And not last.
To bring that full circle, I said it earlier, but legacy minded, kingdom focused. I touched on the legacy side, but the kingdom side is, just it's our conviction, it's our belief, is that we want to point people to Jesus. And I think that the things that we do just are powerful, and so I don't want to make all this money and build my ego.
Yeah.
I want to help people. And I think I probably, doing some soul searching over the past couple of years, I think that's the thing I've realized about myself is I love people. And I think we're called to love people. I think it's just part of our mission. And that looks different in different seasons.
And we've not ever done it perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
For
sure.
Yeah.
But entrepreneurship is fun for so many reasons, but building a team, helping other people accomplish their goals, like that's the fun part, whether that's clients or employees, just people. That's my favorite part about what I do is serving people.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
Yep.
Final question. If you could speak to newlywed Bre, 20 years old, knowing what you know now about just the journey that we've been on for the past 20 years, what would you tell her?
Goodness. That is such a tough question, because it's not like I would give her advice to change anything at all. I think I would just encourage her to stay the course, seek the Lord first, and know that He is faithful. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
That's good. You're my favorite podcast guest of all time. I love you. I'm proud of you.
Love you too.
I have a feeling we'll probably do this again at some point.
Oh boy.
But maybe the 30-year anniversary will come back on.
Okay.
Deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for doing this.
Yep, of course.